Sonnet, our product, takes the phone calls that come into your insurance agency, picks up the calls, and it's a robot. It's an AI.
Welcome to the Insurance Refocused podcast, where we're highlighting real agent stories and how they are innovating to respond to the changes and challenges happening in the independent insurance industry. My name's Lindsay, and I can't wait to introduce you to my amazing co-host, who just so happens to be my mom, Carrie Wallace. Mom, how you doing today?
Lindsay, I am having a great day. It is 77 degrees here. So I just went out for my outdoor exercise, and I'm back at it.
You can't rub that in. You can't
Yes,
rub that in for our northern listeners. That's just rude.
Sorry, this is a life that I live.
That is so funny. Well, I am super pumped about today's episode. We ran into a really cool new InsurTech that just went through 101 Weston Labs called Sonnet. And we've got the the founder here, Francisco, here to talk about voice, like phone system AI. I'm sure there's a much better way to say that, Francisco. Please correct me. How do you describe your product?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. There's a simpler way, yes. AI receptionist for insurance agencies. That's the short way to do it. And what that means is that Sonnet, our product, takes the phone calls that come into your insurance agency, picks up the calls, and it's a robot. It's an AI. And it's an AI that sounds like it's a human speaking, and that is able to collect basic information for quotes, for servicing requests, and route the calls accordingly to the staff of the agency or even to third parties like a carrier service center, and then is able to also book appointments on the calendar. And then because it's real.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and integrates with the majority of the existing AMSs and CRMs that insurance agencies use, because we are specialized on this industry. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, that sounds much better than my voice activated AI. We actually last week just did a presentation in Louisiana, and part of one of my mom's presentations was her first technology company that she worked at, which, Mom, can you say what that was? Because it was some type of weird, that's probably why I'm saying this in my head. Say what it is again.
So Francisco, I'm sorry about this, but this is probably, this is a long time ago. It was in the early 90s, and it was a company that made a voice-activated body-worn computer, hands-free, voice-activated body-worn computer. And the purpose was to give you information where you could use your hands and see it in a heads-up display. The reality is the technology is there now. I mean, way beyond what it was, but at the time it felt like the Jetsons, like it felt like the cartoon where it was in this futuristic thing. And anyway, that's what she's thinking of because I called it voice activated. So yeah.
Okay, so there's the origin.
Yeah, there's the origin. I'm like, why did I say that? Like, I know it's an AI that answers your phone.
So Francisco, I have a question for you, because anytime the word AI comes up, people get nervous, I think, or they have in their mind one thing. First of all, AI has been around for a really long time. It is not a new phenomenon. Tell me your biggest objection when you speak to an agency about using an AI receptionist. What is the biggest objection you get?
I'll say two. I think one is I'm afraid is going to replace my staff. I'm afraid what my staff is going to say. Ultimately, I'm even afraid of my job, like a combination of these.
Yeah.
And then the second one is, but we are insurance agents. What we do is all about the personal touch.
Mm-hmm.
And
I get it.
Yeah. And it makes total sense, right? Like people you don't want your staff, like these are agencies that have been around for generations, the people that you work with, maybe they're even your friends, right? Like you have relationship with them, completely fine. And the other one as well, personal touch. Yes, we're not here as well to eliminate that personal touch. Actually, we believe that this is a great AI, is a great opportunity for independent agents, and that the market share of independent agents in the next 10 years is going to increase because of AI, because people will still buy from people, right? So, yeah.
Well, I remember like a couple years back, I was chatting with an agency owner who put a VA. A VA was the one answering their phone systems. I believe we even talked about this a bit, but the challenge with the VA answering the phone was it couldn't get like the Southern hospitality down. It wasn't asking like, hey, how's it going? How's the family? Or hey, how was your day today?
Yeah.
With an AI, you can train it to do that, right? Like, are you seeing that happen, or what's that part like?
Yeah. So agencies can customize those type of things, right? And not only the types of questions, the hospitality, the personality, but also the accent, right? You can have maybe a Southern accent, right? Or another type of accent, right? So you do have the ability to do that versus a VA on the phone, right? Like you have more control. That's what AI enables you to do. But ultimately, the biggest thing here is that it allows an agency to be 24/7 operation for the clients, maintaining a more personal touch because they can now, the people can still pass through the AI, people can still talk to humans, but the customers are able to get their needs satisfied faster. And it also doesn't take staff away, right? It just makes the life better for the staff. And now, you have your staff has more time. Maybe you can grow the business, or maybe you can just do 4 hour work, for the day, work quick, whatever, whatever it is your own version of that. But it's a way to make the operation better, more efficient.
Overall. So, Francisco, we know that those are the two biggest objections. So, number one, I don't want to lose my personal touch. Number two, my staff is going to be afraid. So, I'm assuming you work with many agencies. Tell me what that process looks like when you start. And listen, fear is a huge thing. Like, fear is when there's anything that changes, I think people are fearful of what that impact's going to be. What has been the true outcome in some of the agencies that you're working with, and how are agency owners dealing with that fear, especially their team, to adopt this kind of technology? What is that looking like?
Yeah. So the way it looks like is that, we see at the beginning, maybe there are those fears, right? But then once we deploy, we usually see the staff starting to, be happy and even brag about AI to the clients. We have staff that is chit chatting now with the clients about how, hey, did you know you just talked to a robot?
So funny.
This can do this and that, like, right? Like, we see those conversations happening.
Cool.
I think the way that one thing we also see is that more than 80% of the people cannot figure out they're speaking with an AI, because we did a lot of work on making it, low latency, making it specialized in insurance, making, know the customers, right? Like, so, try not to deceive the person, right? Like, try not to deceive who you're talking to. And then you make sure that, it's a good experience, that, it's going to help the staff produce more. It's going to help the staff, have more time, right? So that's how we come in. In terms of the setup per se, is takes around 2 weeks, right? And we train the AI. We also know that insurance agents, don't have the time. Most of them don't want to be spending the time training an AI and, figuring out what we can do. So because we only work with insurance agencies, we have very well defined what are the workflows, what is needed, and we have a onboarding process where we distill that, and at the same time make sure that it's customized to each agency.
Yeah.
And then in less than 2 weeks, you can go live with it.
So you guys are doing all the training. The agency doesn't actually do any of the training?
No.
Interesting. So do you have a meeting with the agency owner and they tell you all the things they want the AI to be trained on, and it just goes from there?
Yeah, basically we do that with our intake form. The agent can train if they want. If they want to give feedback, we incorporate that feedback, right? Mm-hmm. But the whole idea is that from intake form, we give you a phone number, and that phone number is an AI that is following your process, your agency, based on what we discussed, and then agents can test, can play with it, and there's usually rounds of feedback at the beginning, because as people start calling it, they start thinking about new ways to use it, right? And maybe things they didn't think about. There's that iteration as well.
Too. So, yeah. Lindsay, I got to tell you, like when he said we can give it an accent and we can do whatever, I mean, sadly, what jumped into my brain was, a receptionist that sounds like Scott Howell. There's like insurance agents from around the world. I'm joking, but you could do whatever you wanted. And I had a really good friend of mine who, she had her, receptionist sound like Snoop Dogg. So we were making fun of her that, I bought wine that was actually Snoop Dogg to take to a party because I thought it was hilarious that she had her bot sound like Snoop Dogg. So my point is, you can get really creative about this and make it something that people are talking about. What I loved you said, Francisco, is we don't try to deceive anyone into tricking them that they're actually speaking to a human. So what is the statistic? Like, are people saying this call has been being answered by an AI assistant, or is it like, what's the rule with that?
So the rule, we don't really have a rule, but what we tell agencies is, it's your brand, right? Like, it's your client base. We're just communicating with your client base, but you should be the one deciding what that looks like, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's their decision. What we see is that most agencies, all agencies actually, let me correct this. We haven't had any agency asking us to deceive if someone asks, am I speaking with an AI or not?
And let's face it, we live in a world that there's phone trees. So it's not atypical to have something automated. We live in a world where we go onto websites and there's an AI assisted bot that helps us get where we need to go. I guess I'd love to know some stats. Like, let's say someone calls in and they realize they're talking to a bot. I'm assuming there's the same thing. Like if you're on a website and you want to speak to someone, you can opt into that. Is that true?
Yes. So and that's part of the setup process, the intake, right? Like if you want to speak with a person, you can, there should be a way to handle that, right?
Right.
Maybe there's not a person immediately available, but we'll pass that to a person.
Yeah.
And so when you're saying, go ahead, Mom.
Yeah. So of that, do you have any stats on how often that actually happens? Because my guess is I don't know what my guess. I'm guessing that it's low, but do you have any stats to say how often people opt out?
Yeah, it's 10, 20%. And
usually,
it's not because they won't speak to a human, necessarily is, meaning that they don't want to speak to AI, is because their issue is complex, or there's something that AI cannot really solve. Right?
That makes sense.
What we do see is that people are used to phone trees, which are bad experiences.
Yes.
Press 1, press 2. The moment I'm on press 2, press 3, I'm already disconnected. So I need to always go re-listen again. I forgot what were the options.
I always forget. Yeah, I'm with you.
It's not good. Here you have something that interacts like a human, right? And you also have an issue on our industry that there's a talent crunch, right? It's hard to find people to go and do the job, right? And that are good at it, right? So as the end customer, you know, these type of solutions will be more and more what will enable agencies to be able to provide a good service to the end customer. And not only in insurance, right? Like the person that is buying insurance, they are interacting with AI probably in all different places of their life. And there's going to be more and more AI agents out there. It's going to be AI companions. People are going to start grow used to this type of interactions. So I think that's like any new technology, right? Like people, there will be an adoption curve, but I think overall it's a much better experience than what it is today.
Can I just ask, before we move off this topic, when we're saying we're not trying to, fool anyone, are there tells that you've let the AI keep that like make it obvious that it's an AI, or what does that look like? Like how are we defining that we're not trying to make it sound like a person?
No, so it sounds like a person.
Right.
It does sound like a person. And we try to make it as human-like as possible.
Okay.
Because I mean, as a design principle, like the way that people interact, right? What we don't try to deceive is if someone asks if you are
I understand.
an AI. And there are some agencies that now want, because people start getting used to it and know it, now they want to start being upfront about it. Hey, everyone's busy, but I'm the AI here. How can I help you?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that most agencies are giving them a name? This is that's a dumb question, but
everyone
are they giving
gives them a name?
That's cool.
I think that's amazing. Cool. I love it. So, obviously, Francisco, when we got to meet and hang out at the recent event that we were at, I'm super fascinated by this because of the last thing you said. There's a major talent shortage inside our industry. Everyone is looking to figure out, how do I create efficiencies? How do I drive profitability? How do I get all of these calls and all of the work done inside my agency and be able to change with my customers' expectations, my carriers' expectations? Like there's all these things coming at an agency, and this is one way to deal with some of those things. So I want to talk about some of the agents that are using it. Number one, what does the demographic of an agency look like that is utilizing this tech? Is there a common, or is it all over the board?
Yeah. So it's a bit all over the board, but there's some commonalities, right? Like they are in states where maybe this art market has been harder. That's one commonality. But they are, we work from agencies that have one person to agencies that have hundreds of people, right? Like it's across the board.
Yep.
But there's one commonality that I wouldn't call it demographics, but is definitely commonality we see. That people that are forward thinking, people that are caring about their bottom line, they care about what their profitability looks like, they care about the experience with their customers, they care about staying at the forefront. Right. And when you combine all these three, things, right? Like that's where I think that overlaps with a lot with where we do.
And so a lot of people, when we talk about technology, I've been speaking to agents for a long time about data and technology and relationships and profitability. Like that's a lot of my topics, right? But sometimes when you talk about this, agents immediately jump to, well, that means I would have to, in order to get the benefit from it, I would reduce my staff in order to see the benefit of what we're doing. And nothing could be further from the truth, in my opinion. It's about creating capacity on a team. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you utilize a tool that creates capacity, are you seeing either a reduction in staff or not replacing people? Or what trend are you seeing for agents that are utilizing Sonnet as part of their approach? What does that look like?
Yeah, we have reduced 0 jobs and staff with all the agencies we work with.
Yeah.
There's no single one, no single agency that has guts on it, see the success, and is like, okay, I'm gonna remove someone from my team. No. And there's people that are repurposing, right? Like someone was picking the phone. Now you don't need to pick that phone. Now that person, we have an agency that the person that was picking the phones got their license, and now is becoming a producer.
Cool. Yeah.
It's hard to find good people today. Good people don't want to necessarily be a phone receptionist, right?
Right.
If you have good people that are phone receptionists, probably expect progression, right? This allows you to do production, and not having to now go and find every 2 years someone to do that part of the job. Another thing I would say is that agencies, companies, businesses in general are living organisms, right? And they're not static. It's not like, hey, I get a piece of software, a piece of efficiency, and now I have my team and everything stays the same. No, right? Like the moment you do that, enables you to grow. So you are always like investing on what can get you free up more capacity, what can unlock the bottlenecks so you can grow. And that's how you take a business to the next level, right? And that's what we see in the agencies that we work with. They're thinking that way. That's the characteristic they think about, like, okay, I'm going to grow my business. Now I automated this function. Okay, great. Maybe not right now. I have some staff dynamics here, like repurpose, but then over time, I know that with this capacity, we do it. So one of the questions we ask is, agencies see 10, 25% more capacity on their staff by using Sonnet. How much more money could you make the next year or so if you add 10, 25% more capacity?
Yeah. I love that because this whole thought process that you have to make the ROI of something like this, the return on your investment in reducing headcount in a time when we can't find people, that's just the wrong approach. So I love, like how much more cross sell could we make? How much higher can your retention be? What are the new business calls that can happen? Like there's a lot of different ways to reallocate that capacity of people that understand coverage and can create relationships with your customers. Listen, if I just want to pay my bill, that doesn't necessarily create a relationship. Someone has to answer the call and get me where I need to be in order to pay my bill, right? Or whatever that phone call is. So I love the idea of, even if it's only 80% of the calls stay with the AI bot. I mean, did you hear me? 80% of the calls don't opt out, which means they were able to be helped by a bot that answered them rather than a human being. That's a massive shift, which is impressive, super impressive.
Yep. And at the end of the day, if you want to build personal relationship with someone, who called, you can call them now on your own schedule, right?
Yeah,
totally. Absolutely. I think it's even like for time blocking. Like sometimes in these really customer service centric roles, the your workload and productivity goes down because you're constantly at like exactly what you just said. You're constantly speaking to people on their time, not your time. So even if you were able to have your AI, catalog all the calls for the day and you spent an hour and a half each day calling people back, like think about how much more productive you can be the absolute rest of the day. That'd be crazy. So this is obviously a really cool new product out there on the market. What are you seeing down the road of what this can be and like can even do in the future? Like what are you guys working on for the next thing?
Yeah, I love that you're asking about the next thing. So we are super deep, and focused in the insurance agents, reality, right? And that's where we really want to, focus. And we want that experience to be magical, both for the agent and for the end customer. And the way we think about it is, what can we handle on the front office that makes that magical experience, right? Like we look at the phone calls that come to an agency. Some calls they I cannot solve today. Like for example, get a proof of insurance. What is the next step in which someone calls into the agency and not only are taking that request, we're actually fulfilling that request in real time.
Yeah.
Or when you are not just phone call for the agency, you're emailing, email boxes are chaotic, right? Like, or texting. So omni-channel support, right? Like the reception acting across different channels. So really making sure that, you as an agency owner, you get your agency to be running in wheels, that your staff is able to spend, really more meaningful time with your clients, and that, all that work is automated in a way that you just don't need to worry about it. Like it's an headache that is taken care of you. And that's what drives profitability in the business, right? Like that's what drives ultimately the value of a business, right? Like, a business doesn't depend on you to be run, right? Like
yeah.
you add the value, but as you can have it running into well. So we want to enable agencies to get those magical experience. So, agents can be with their, in real life with their customers, making sure that, they feel taken care of. They feel that
Absolutely.
when the claim is going to come, they'll be there to help.
Yeah.
Well, in order to, enable something like this in an agency has to have really good processes and,
Yeah.
workflows documented, and they have to be planning for the future. So that work is right in line with agencies that we see that are, on train for being incredibly profitable and selling at the highest price that they possibly can. So love to hear that's what you're thinking about. I'm definitely super excited to see the future of this type of technology. That's for sure.
All I know is if
Yeah.
you could solve that inbox thing, Francisco, you need to be calling us. I know we're not an agency, but I would solve my my chaotic inbox if I could tomorrow. So yeah, pretty funny.
Yeah, I think,
Excellent.
and I think that's the problem that's not gonna, with AI potentially will make it worse because there's more emails to sort through, right? But yeah, I think there's three main, vectors of value that we see um, on the agency that we work with. One is now you don't have missed calls, right? Like you don't have missed calls are missed opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're you're losing money down there, right? Because they're gonna call someone else, maybe they close, you're already out of that opportunity. The second one is just the time that it saves, right? Like the time that it saves on the phone, the time that it saves taking notes, the time that it saves of not distracting people between their tasks. And the third one is customer satisfaction increase, right? And what that value is, hey, now your retention is higher. Now your referrals are higher because happy customers are going to refer more customers, right? So those are essentially the three main vectors of value that we've seen in the agencies that we work with today. Yeah.
Well, Francisco, I think that anybody should at least take a look at the demo because I will say I was impressed that it does sound like a normal conversation. The pauses aren't super long. There's not a weird clicking at the beginning. Like it literally sounds like the flow of a conversation. I would highly, highly, highly encourage anybody that's listening to this and they haven't paid attention to it to at least find out for yourself, because the reality is if you're not using this, you are going to be competing against agents that are using it. They will have capacity. They will be able to keep up with the changing times, and the gap will get bigger and bigger between the agents that are leveraging technology in this way and those that are not. So I love that you've created something that creates opportunity for capacity and building relationships inside agencies. If someone wants to reach out to you, Francisco, tell them how.
Best way, go to our website, sonant.ai, and you can read a bit more about us, and you can book some time there with me, and I'll be very happy to, walk you through and show you, more examples and more concrete things about how agencies are using the technology today, or just follow along our journey, because we're going to keep building more and more for the industry. And maybe phone calls is not the top thing on your mind now, but maybe there are others. And even if so, reach out. We're always happy to get to know more agents and see how we can help the space.
I love it.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the kind words and the conversation.
Yeah,
yes,
I love it. Well, thanks
Francisco.
for being our guest. Yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Insurance Refocused podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to hit subscribe and leave us a review so you'll never miss us. Want to learn more about how Agency Focus can help you grow your agency? Head to agency-focus.com or email Carrie directly at carrie@agency-focus.com. If you need to get in touch with me, feel free to shoot me an email at lindsay@agency-focus.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.